December 1926. A man walks into a Manhattan speakeasy and orders a gin Ricky. 20 minutes later, he's blind. By morning, he's dead. The owner knew the gin was poison. He kept serving it anyway. 4 dead in 7 days. The club stayed open. Because closing meant losing everything. The bribes already paid, the supply network, the protection that kept you out of prison. One bad batch could kill your customers, but closing your doors guaranteed you'd lose your business, your savings, and possibly your freedom. The party was real. The jazz, the champagne, the beautiful people, all real, but the party was theatre. The real operation lived in the corridors, the false walls, and the nervous system of bells and lookouts that could shut down the entire room before enforcement crossed the threshold. Every speakeasy was a machine built for one purpose, vanishing in 2 minutes flat. One New York basement club survived 3 years of weekly enforcement sweeps, not because it was hidden particularly well, not because it paid more than competitors. It survived because the floor captain ran shutdown rehearsals every Sunday afternoon. When the bell rang twice, the band stopped mid-song. Cocktail glasses swapped for coffee cups. Bottles disappeared into false walls. The room became a private social club, serving coffee and sandwiches in 90 seconds. That speed started with the architecture itself. The front was always legitimate, a barbershop, a florist, a soda fountain. You walked in, gave a password, and passed through a hidden door. Inside, every club had the same nervous system, bells and lights. 1 ring meant safe. 2 rings meant caution. 3 rings meant run. The bartender watched a coloured bulb above the bar. Green meant pour. Red meant freeze. When that light went red, you had 90 seconds to become a coffee shop, or you went to jail. Sound baffles lined the walls. Cork panels, heavy drapes, anything to contain the music and voices. Cash only. No checks, no tabs that could be traced. Brownstone basements became the standard in New York. Owners used dumbwaiters to move bottles between floors. Fire escapes were rerouted as emergency exits. The front entrance was a tailor shop. Patrons walked through a fitting room, down a narrow staircase, and into a basement that held 60 people. 2 exits, the staircase and a coal chute that opened into an alley. The coal chute saved them during a raid in March 1927. Enforcement blocked the front staircase. The floor captain triggered the bell sequence. 38 people crawled through the coal chute in under 2 minutes, while the bartender stalled at the door. When enforcement finally broke through, they found 12 people playing cards and drinking coffee. The coal dust on everyone's clothes was explained as a heating system malfunction. Chicago's system was built for violence. Raids were frequent and brutal. Clubs needed reinforced rear corridors, steel frames, heavy doors, trap bars that could be dropped from the inside. Alley egress was non-negotiable. One South Side club had a doorman who memorized faces. If he didn't recognize you, you didn't get in. If he saw a badge, he hit a button that triggered a bell sequence. The entire room cleared through a back corridor in 90 seconds. That doorman made a mistake in August 1928. He let in someone he thought he recognized. The man was an undercover officer. The raid happened so fast, the bell system didn't matter. The owner spent 6 months in jail. The doorman disappeared. Some clubs built decoy bars, small, obvious setups designed to be found. While enforcement wasted time searching the decoy, the real room cleared. One Chicago club had a decoy bar with cheap liquor and a few patrons who were paid to sit there. The real bar was behind a false wall in the storage area, but even perfect architecture meant nothing if the bottles ran dry. The supply split into 2 streams. Imported liquor, Canadian whiskey, Caribbean rum, European wines smuggled through coastal routes, safer but expensive and unreliable, or local spirits, industrial alcohol reprocessed into something drinkable, homemade bathtub gin, cheaper, more available, potentially lethal, ships from Canada anchored offshore, smaller boats transferred cases to docks at night, coded invoices routed through legitimate wholesalers. The paperwork said olive oil, the crates held whiskey. Storage in false walls, underfloor tanks, anywhere that didn't smell like alcohol. One whiff and a landlord could turn informant. The owner who lost 4 customers didn't start as a killer. He started as someone trying to keep his business alive. For 8 months, his supplier delivered clean product. Canadian whiskey, properly smuggled, properly stored. Then enforcement launched a coordinated crackdown across the northeast. The supplier's primary source got raided on a Tuesday. His backup source got raided on Thursday. By Friday, the supplier was scrambling. He found a rural operation 2 hours outside the city. They were selling industrial alcohol at half the usual price. The supplier knew what that meant. Methanol content, improper distillation, shortcuts that turned alcohol into poison, but his clients were threatening to find new sources. If he lost his distribution network, he lost everything. He bought 3 cases. He told himself he'd test it properly. He didn't. He delivered it Saturday morning with a vague warning about filtration. The Speakeasy owner signed for the shipment and stacked the crates in the basement. Saturday night was always busy. The owner looked at his inventory. He was down to half a case of gin. The new shipment sat 10 feet away. He knew he should run the tasting protocol. 2 staff members, small samples, discard anything suspicious. But Saturday night meant 200 customers. Going dry meant turning away money. It meant regulars finding other clubs. It meant losing momentum in a business where one slow week could kill you. He opened the first bottle from the new shipment. It smelled harsh. Stronger than usual. He told himself it just needed mixing, gin Rickeys, Tom Collins, anything with enough citrus and sugar to mask the burn. The first customer ordered at 9:15, a regular, a lawyer who came in every Saturday. He finished his drink in 20 minutes. By 9:40 he was rubbing his eyes. By 10 he couldn't see. The bartender called for help. The customer was rushed to a hospital. He died at 6 in the morning. 3 more customers died over the next 6 days, all from drinks poured that Saturday night, all from the same batch. Word spread fast. The Speakeasy that served poison, the owner who kept pouring even after the first death. The neighborhood turned on him. Not enforcement, not raids, just empty tables and a reputation that couldn't be fixed. He closed for a month. He implemented the tasting protocol he should have used from the start. Every batch sampled by 2 staff members before reaching the bar. If either flagged it, the entire shipment was dumped, no matter the cost. When he reopened, some customers came back, but never the crowds he'd had before. Saturday nights that used to bring 200 people now brought 40. The club limped along for another year before closing permanently, but the 4 customers stayed dead, and the Speakeasy owner lived with the knowledge that he'd killed them to avoid one slow Saturday night. Storage redundancy separated smart operators from desperate ones. Keep 3 days of inventory on-site maximum, the rest distributed across trusted locations. If enforcement raided, you lost 3 days, not 3 months. Product was only half the problem. Keeping it quiet was the other half. Protection didn't stop raids. It shaped their timing and intensity. One Midtown Manhattan club paid 3 separate envelopes each week. One to the beat cop who walked past the door twice a night, one to the precinct desk sergeant who filed reports, one to the building inspector who signed off on permits. The total cost was 30% of gross revenue every week, whether business was good or terrible. In February 1928, the owner tried to negotiate. Business had been slow. He asked for a 2-week extension on one envelope. The beat cop said he understood. 3 days later, the club got raided at peak hours on a Saturday night. Enforcement found everything. The owner spent 4 months in jail. When he got out, he resumed payments immediately. No negotiations, no missed weeks. A paid precinct captain might give you a warning call. A paid inspector might schedule his visit for Tuesday at noon when you were closed. But if pressure came from higher up, or if a rival wanted you gone, the money meant nothing. The system worked on predictability. Regular payments beat big bribes. Weekly envelopes delivered to the same contact at the same time built trust. Missing a payment or trying to negotiate raised suspicion. Chicago's protection was more expensive because enforcement was more aggressive. Rival operations used raids as weapons. One South Side club paid weekly protection but still got raided twice in 1 month because a competing operation wanted the territory. The invisible workforce was the silent payroll that kept the nervous system alive. Lookouts stationed on street corners, runners who carried messages between locations, switchboard operators who relayed warnings through coded phone calls. One New York operation employed 6 lookouts across 3 blocks. Their job was to watch for enforcement vehicles and signal the doorman. The cost was significant, but the early warning system saved the club from a dozen raids. Then one lookout got arrested on an unrelated charge. Enforcement offered him a deal: inform on the club or face 2 years. He took the deal. The next raid happened with no warning. The lookout had been their eyes. Without him, they were blind. The mistake that killed operations was concentrating knowledge. One Chicago club manager handled all envelopes. He knew every contact, every payment schedule, every amount. When he got arrested during a raid, enforcement offered him immunity for cooperation. He gave them everything. The club shut down permanently. 3 other connected operations collapsed within a month. The clubs that lasted longest understood the real equation. Protection was overhead, not insurance. You paid for the privilege of operating, not for safety. The payments bought you time and reduced frequency, but they never eliminated risk. But money couldn't protect against the weakest part of any operation: the people running it. A bartender broke his ankle during a Sunday shutdown drill. The stairs were dark, the descent was rushed, and his foot caught the edge of a step. He heard the crack before he felt the pain. The floor captain told him to take a week off. He came back after 3 days. Missing a shift meant losing the job. 2 weeks later, a real raid. The bell rang 3 times. Everyone ran for the back exit. The bartender tried to follow, but his ankle gave out on the stairs. He fell. When he looked up, 2 officers were standing over him. 6 months in jail for a job that paid $40 a week. A waitress quit the night she watched a customer go blind from bad gin. She'd served him the drink herself, watched him laugh with friends, then watched him stumble to the bathroom, rubbing his eyes. She was clearing tables when the ambulance arrived. She finished her shift, collected her pay, and never came back. The owner called her apartment for 3 days. The phone just rang. 15 people died from that gin. The owner knew it was poison. He served it anyway. That wasn't cruelty. That was prohibition. A system where your choices were serve death or lose everything. The Speakeasy wasn't glamorous nightlife. It was a machine designed to survive at any cost, and thousands paid the price. If you want to see what other myths about the Jazz Age are hiding brutal truths, subscribe to Untold 20s. We're tearing down every romanticized story from the 1920s and showing you what actually happened behind the glitter and the gin. This is history without the polish.